What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Thrive by Nutrition podcast. Really excited to have another guest on this week. This is Matt McLeod. He is a registered dietitian, online trainer, and I've been following him for, I believe it was a year, maybe a little over a year now. So quite a while, and I really, really appreciate his approach that he takes to fitness, which we'll probably get into later on. But just super simple, practical. And about how fitness can enhance your life and shouldn't really control it. So I'm gonna take this time and just let Matt kind of give you a rundown on how he kind of got into the whole fitness, nutrition, registered dietitian realm and his kind of journey, so you guys can get to know him a little more.
Sure thing. Joey, thank you so much for having me on, man. And thank you to everyone listening as well. So my name's Matt, and I'm from Kentucky. I was originally born in Ashland, Kentucky, and then now I'm in Lexington, Kentucky, which is by the University of Kentucky. It's where I went to school, and now I've just been hanging out here in my apartment. We just got a new cat, so I'm super excited about that.
Oh, that's
But yeah, I mean, to give the quick rundown, I played high school football, and I was pretty serious about it. And sophomore year in high school, I wanted to get bigger, stronger, and faster so that I could keep up with the other guys. I wanted to, if I was going to play on varsity against the big guys, I was like, okay, the one thing that I can control in this situation is like how much bigger and stronger I get. And so what I was doing is I went to the local YMCA where I would go and play basketball and lifts sometimes, but I didn't know too much about the weight room or anything like that, right? And so I went, and then one day there was our senior running back. He was in the corner of the gym. He was squatting. They had like bands and shit, like chalk. Like they were so hardcore, and he's a beast, right? He was one of the best running backs in the state. I looked up to him a lot, and I was doing preacher curls, right? And so I was like, yeah, doing preacher curls, get my biceps bigger. Like this is how you get bigger, right?
Yeah.
And he actually came over to me because I mean we were friends. So I was a running back and a defensive back, and he came up to me and was just like, hey, bro, you're doing it all wrong. And this is like he's like a 5'8", he's a mixed dude, but he's kind of thug, and he was probably about like 230 or something. He was just a cannonball, right? He was the fullback. And he came up to me and said, hey, bro, he said, you're doing it all wrong, man. You're doing it all wrong. And I was like, what do you mean I'm doing it wrong? I was like, I'm just lifting weights, man. I'm figuring it out. And then he was like, nah, bro, you're doing it all wrong. He said, come over here with us. So it was the main running back, and then he had kind of like a trainer guy. And basically they kind of took me in under their wing, and like I was a hard worker and I would listen to anything that they told me to do. And so I just started working out with them, and this was after practice. So we would have like lifting in seventh period. So the last class of the day in high school. And then after that, we would also have like another lifting in like the off season with the actual team for about an hour or so.
Yeah.
And then after that, that's whenever we went to the local YMCA and got in another strength session. And we would just try and alternate. Like if we focused on one thing at the workout with the team, we tried to focus on something else in this workout. So I was working out at one time like 3 times a day whenever I first started. And as a beginner, like you just soak up those gains.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then I started eating tons of food and everything. So basically I got bit by the lifting bug. I was I was into it. I started to get bigger, stronger, faster. People started saying shit. I was like, this is amazing. You know what I'm saying?
It's the best thing in the world.
In the beginning, you get into it for vanity reasons for a lot of the part, but it was working. It was motivating me. And also I was with them. I was like, they know what they're doing. They were smart. And they were smart. And so it got me into all the compound lifts. I was doing pull-ups, squats, deadlifts. And so I was getting into it, but then, so I got caught by the lifting bug. I grew from sophomore year to senior year about 30 pounds. I gained about 30 pounds of mostly muscle, right? I went from about 165 to 195. And so sophomore year, I was playing cornerback, defensive back, which are pretty usually like kind of skinnier. They're quick, they're fast, but they're not necessarily big guys by any means. But then by senior year, I was playing cornerback, and fullback. So it
Oh,
was a very interesting combination. And we ran the spread, so it was kind of like a double back situation. So I wasn't like an I formation, like crushing people every play or something like that. I did get to run the ball some. Um, After that, to fast forward, after high school football was over, I lost that competitive outlet, and
mm,
um, I needed something to kind of fill that void. And so I was big into lifting. Again, like, this was something that I was starting to develop this passion for. And as I started to gain the passion and get bigger, and I knew that uh, um, I got into natural bodybuilding because in my journey to become smarter about these things, I ran into guys like Lane Norton or something. I actually used to read the muscular development magazines, and he had a section in that magazine called No Bullshit Bodybuilding. And he's a natural bodybuilder. And he's also a scientist. And so he was putting out good information for naturals. And I've never taken any drugs or anything like that. So I was like, I'm going to listen to this dude. And so I got caught up with him, and then he was also a natural bodybuilder. So I was like, oh, what's this realm of natural bodybuilding? Right. And I got excited. I was like, okay, this is interesting. I've never even heard of this. Got more interested in it, kind of got into that world, talked to a few of the people, learned more from the people, because they're some of the smartest people in the world on training and nutrition, because they don't have drugs to their advantage. So they have to be really smart
yeah.
in diet and exercise. Right. And so what I did was I kept following them. And, uh, after that, I was like, okay, maybe I'll give this natural bodybuilding thing a try. And whenever that happened, it just like, it kind of clicked that that's what I needed to try, give a try. I wanted to give that a go. And somebody at my local gym asked me to do it, or he told me to do it. He's like, dude, you need to do it. You've been enjoying it. You've been thinking about it. He's like, it's time to just take the plunge. And so that's it. I did it, did my first show, my first semester in college. uh, got fourth place. I enjoyed it a lot. But that was kind of the beginning of my, whenever I took fitness really seriously and diet and exercise and wanted to really learn a lot about all of it.
Yeah.
Right. And then, so from there, it just kind of stemmed, like, I was in college. I was actually a kinesiology degree, and I wanted to go into physical therapy, but my chemistry grades were terrible, right? And whenever I realized that my chemistry grades were just, I was going to have to either go back and retake all the classes, or I was going to have to pick something else.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm not going to go back and retake those classes because they were terrible. I hated it. Um, and so what I did instead was like, all right, I'm gonna pivot here, because I went from wanting to be a physical therapist to, then I was like, okay, maybe I'll just be like a strength coach or something like that. And I was like, I'll stick with kinesiology. I'll be a strength coach. But then I was like, or a personal trainer, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
But I was like, you don't need an exercise science degree to become a personal trainer. At least to go. And I was thinking online, right? Because I had an online coach for bodybuilding, for the bodybuilding show that I did. So I was already introduced to that world. And I was like, maybe I could do something like this. But I was like, I don't need a personal training degree or a exercise science degree to do this shit.
Right. And a lot of times you don't even need a personal training certification nowadays to do
Yeah, I still don't have one.
online
I
coaching.
don't I don't have one at all, because there's still none that are like, they're just always a little bit behind with things. And it's just like, they do a great, and don't get me wrong, if anybody's going to do like a NASM one, like an NASM or an NSCA, or there's even ones that the CSCS, they're all, admirable. And if you're wanting to get one of those, I think go for it. But I was so obsessive with my learning on my own. Like, I have the textbooks. I have physiology textbooks. I have anatomy textbooks. I have periodization textbooks. It's like, I just did all the studying and stuff on my own. But then I was like, okay, I'm not going to be a personal trainer, or I don't need the exercise science degree. So what could I do instead to give me that one up that's still in this realm, right?
Yeah.
And so that's whenever I was like, oh, I will become a dietitian. And I was like, okay, I'll be a registered dietitian. And that also gave me kind of a safety net, to be honest. I was thinking like mitigating risk from day one. I was like, what can I do to mitigate my risk in the future? And I was like, I want to potentially be this online coach, trainer thing, whatever that means. but I don't know for sure if it's going to work out or not. I was just being honest. I believed in myself, but that's like, I could be naive. I could be wrong. Who knows what, I mean, we could have a pandemic, right? Like if this would have happened a long time ago, like who knows what, like the courses of our lives could change. But yeah, I was just like, I'm going to mitigate my risk. I'm going to go to school to be a dietitian. And a lot of people struggle with nutrition more than the exercise part anyway.
For sure.
Right. So I was like, okay, and this will give me that prestigious, because to some people, a registered dietitian is still, it should be, right? It should be the tippy top of the nutrition field, right? Unless you're going to get like a master's and PhD, and typically those people are still registered dietitians. They've just further extended their credentials. And it's just like, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a registered dietitian. I'll do the online coaching thing, see if it works out. If it doesn't, I can always fall back and go, work outpatient or work in a clinical setting or something like that. I was like, I'll have a fallback. And it also kind of appeased my mom as well. I was just like, and I mentioned the coaching thing, and I actually started doing it whenever I was like a sophomore, junior in college. And I was just doing it kind of like as a side hustle, making a little bit of money. And I was like, yeah, afterwards I'm going to go, I'm looking for jobs, here and there. I was thinking about this, but I knew all along, I was like, I'm going to do the coaching thing. It started to gain momentum, and I was like, all right, dude, I really think I can do this. I'm enjoying it. I'm helping people. I'm making some money off this. And I know other people that I look up to are also making money off this and living the life that I want to live. I was like, why the fuck can I watch?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. I was like, why the fuck can I do that? Like, why can't that be me? Why can't I be just like Jordan Syatt and Mike Vacanti, the two guys that I've looked up to for years. And now like I'm texting back and forth with them, I hang out with them in person. Like it's been surreal, but it was just like, I needed that permission from somebody who looked like me, who was just like me. And I was like, hey, if he can do it, then I can too. It's just like, for me to there, it's just a lot of work. And it's like, I can do that. Like I'm down to do that. And so that's kind of what led me to here today. I've been an online coach for basically like 4 years now, and I've never worked another. I worked at a strength and conditioning gym for about 6 to 8 months or so. Worked in person at a private gym, basically around here in Lexington. And it was actually, do you know who Molly Galbraith is? From Girls Gone Strong.
I don't think so, actually.
It's all good. She's really big with the pregnancy community, actually postnatal and stuff like that. But it used to be, and she's just a big name as well. A lot of people know her in the industry. She's a little bit older, I think in her 30s. But she's great. And it was actually her and this other guy, and they took me on as a intern at their gym, and I worked there for 6 to 8 months. But other than that, the only source of income I've ever had has been from at least as an adult, has been from coaching. And that that's the very long-winded answer to where I am today. I always tell myself, like, I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to keep it quick. And then I get into the story and I'm like, damn it, I've rambled for way too long. But yeah, that's it.
No, I mean, it was good. I mean, you gotta cover all your bases,
Yeah. Now people know everything now.
You're good. Exactly. So now we can go ahead and just end the podcast now, because they know everything. So
yeah, you guys are welcome. We're done.
All right. So no, I kind of wanted to go into your experience with competing a little bit. Like, how was that? I've never competed. There were like a couple of times for maybe like 10 seconds, I thought, maybe it'd be something, challenging, exciting, new to do. But then I'm just like, I just enjoy like strength training, kind of powerlifting style, way too much to give up those strength gains by, getting the below, 8% body fat. So
yeah,
tell me a little bit about your experience with that. Like, I guess, what were some of the downsides that you experienced during the process? And then if there were any afterwards, like mentally or physically or anything.
Sure. And I'll try and give the full picture, because it's important, because I don't compete anymore. And I guess I can get to why that is, but it's just, I think that, like you said, you kind of answered it in your question alone. You said that I thought about it for like 10 seconds, like, oh, would that be cool or whatever. This was something that I thought about almost every day. And I was like, I think I want to do this. And it's like, if you've been thinking about it over and over and over again, maybe not every day, but you've been really like, I think I want to give this a shot. Like, just fucking do it. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Yeah. Right. It's just like, the worst thing that happens, you can drop out and not even do it in the first place. I wouldn't recommend to do that, because if you're going to do it, make the commitment. And then that's the biggest benefit you're going to gain out of anything, is committing to something, even whenever shit gets really hard. Um, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. Again, like I said, I didn't have a competitive outlet after high school. And so bodybuilding kind of filled that role of competitiveness because I was competing against other people. But I was also, it was very hardcore competing against yourself and just like, what are you made of kind of thing. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a shot and just see what I can do. And so yeah, first I did 2 shows. I did one the very first semester in college, and I did the other one my last semester in college. So there was a big gap between those, but the first one was a 12-week diet. And it was nothing too crazy, honestly. And I was still in the dorms. Like I was literally in the dorms cooking meals and shit, in the basement, in the
Oh, you
kitchen.
guys had like a kitchen down there your first year?
In the basement. I was on like the 8th floor, I think. And so every day I would go down to the kitchen. I would have my crate full of food that I was about to cook, and I would be down in the kitchen at the same times almost every single day based off my schedule. But like every Monday I was in the same place, every Tuesday. It's like, so yeah, I did that. But I only dieted for 12 weeks, and I got in pretty good shape. But in natural bodybuilding, you need more, unless you're already really genetically lean, which I'm like in the middle. I'm not like superbly genetically gifted, but I'm also like, I'm pretty well off. But like for 12 weeks, it was okay. It earned me 4th place. I was good enough. But then in the next one, senior year, that's whenever I was like, all right, I'm going to go all in on this bitch. And so I dieted for 22 weeks, lost like 30 pounds. And that's whenever I won overall. That's whenever I won my natural pro card, actually. But the thing was, dude, it's like whenever I was standing on stage, whenever I won, because that was my goal. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to really fucking do this. Like I'm going to go all out, like not leave any stone left unturned. Like no cheating, nothing. Like I'm going to go for it. And I went for it, and then I won, and I was like standing on stage, and then I was done, and I was just like, I don't know if all that was worth it, to be honest. to me, this is only speaking in my experience, because I know other people that have had that feeling, and then that's lit a fire under their ass to really, take it up even to another gear. Because then what happens is, so I won my pro card. Now I'm going to have to go up against other professionals, other professional natural bodybuilders. And it's just like, that's another level, dude. That's just it's not a game. And you're going to have to diet for even longer and have an even longer off season. And so it's just like, to me, it was not worth that as far as giving up other things in my life, because you have to sacrifice so much. But yeah, I mean, whenever you're dieting down that much, it's just, you don't realize how much food affects your life and your thinking and just your mood and your well-being and your strength and just so many other things. But yeah, as I was really lean, your hunger is off the charts. You're cold frequently. I have to count every calorie, count every macro, hit the gym 5 or 6 times a week at least. You just have all the side effects that come with dieting. You have poor sleep. You just don't feel like moving very much. Your body's like, okay, let's preserve as much energy as possible. And it's just like, but I knew all those things. I knew all those things going into it. It's like, this is what I signed up for. And it's like, if you're going to do the bodybuilding thing, if you're going to compete in a show, it's like, remember, you cannot complain much about this because you put yourself there. Yeah. You signed up for this shit. It's like, you signed up for this controlled starvation, basically, is what it's sometimes called. It's like,
you paid for it. You paid for it. You paid money to do it, put yourself through it. So no one's forcing you to do it.
That's exactly it. Like I literally paid for this. And so, yeah. And then I did it, but it was just, yeah, man, it made me realize a lot. Like, I'm glad that I did it and I don't regret it. However, I won't be doing it again in the future just because priorities have shifted. I mean, whenever I did the first one and whenever I did that last one, like I was in college, it was easy. Like I had, even whenever you're in college, you think you don't have time, but you have so much time.
Oh my God, yeah, you have so much.
You know what I'm saying? Like people don't want to admit it, but it's just like, you do have so much time. It's like, I was able to go to the gym for 2 hours for 6 days a week and have no issues. And I was, getting jacked. I could eat whatever, like hit my macros, calories. I had other friends who were into it as well. So it's just like, it was such a good environment to get into it. But now it's like, you've got a big boy job. I just got a cat, I have a son.
Yeah.
This little furry creature now. I'm stoked about it. But then, yeah, you have like I've got my girlfriend, and you have your career, relationships, and you just have other things that you want to do besides fitness. And that's kind of where my brand, whatever my brand, me as a person, has just kind of shifted. I've just kind of evolved my uh, quote unquote brand as I've evolved as a person, because it's just,
Yeah.
I've always put out just what feels right, to me in my gut. I'm like, this is what I feel like I'm going through and what I feel like I have the most quote unquote expertise to talk about right now. And it's mostly just talking about my experiences and trying to relate that to other people. And that's kind of what I have to say about it. Yeah. I think if you've been thinking about competing a lot, just give it a try. Like, look it up. I mean, right now, obviously things are a little bit hectic, but after that, whenever we can, see people again, I would recommend to like look for, even though quarantining would be great for a bodybuilding. Well, you can't go to the gym, so you're
Yeah,
screwed there.
that would be the only downside.
If you have access to a gym, which would be perfect, because
Yeah.
then you can just literally lift, eat, sleep. Like, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Um,
No distractions. Nobody asking, "Hey, let's go out to the bars this weekend." Like
no, you got it made. You got it made. So yeah, I would say if you want to do it, do it. But if not, like if you've just been like casually thinking about it or whatever, it's like, it's probably not for you. Just do like a photo shoot or something like that instead. Or like if you're going to the beach, like make a goal like that, like hardcore, because you need some type of outcome that's actually tangible, like going on the beach. Like, you have to take your shirt off and go on the beach, like if you're a dude, or in your bikini, whatever. Like, you have to go on the beach and reveal, quote unquote, your final form, right? Or if it's like a show, you have to step on stage. If it's a photo shoot, you actually have to go through with the photo shoot. So you need something to put that pressure on you to actually go through with your goals. But yeah, I mean, other than that, like, because shows can get expensive. It can, yeah, it's just, if you want to do it, do it. If not, it's all good. Pick something else.
Yeah. There were a lot of really good points that you made in there. And I think one of the biggest things was just if you're not like 100% into it and committed to it, then it's not going to be a fun process. Like,
Yeah.
you're probably not going to survive it,
Yeah,
because
just
like,
don't do it. Just don't do it.
just don't do it. Because like you said, like, you got to track every single calorie. You have to go to the gym 5 to 6 times per week at least. A lot of times even 2 a days, like cardio afterwards.
Yeah. You don't give yourself a cop out either. It's like, if you're going to do it, commit. It's either all or nothing. Because if you do it all, or if you do it like 75%, then it's like, then if you step on stage and you didn't win, you're like, oh, well, I could have, if I would have really buckled down in those last 8 weeks or something. It's like, no, fuck you. You didn't want to do it. You didn't really want to do it. And it's like, that's not fair to the other competitors up there. At least in my books, it's like, if you're going to do it right, or don't do it at all. Because it's a sport that needs to be respected as such, and it's just like, that's what it's all about. It's a sport of extremes, and it's like, if you're going to push it to the extreme, it's like, you need to do that. Like, that's part of competing. Like, you're not, like, what are you doing it for if you're not trying to win? I don't understand. There's no other big benefits from it.
100%. Like, I've seen, like, I don't get too caught up in what other people are doing, but I've seen people who have gone in and they've competed, kind of documented their competing process, competition process, and like, they're not nearly as lean as what they should be. And I think sometimes people, maybe not so much now, but maybe a few years ago when it was a lot more popular competing, people would just go into a competition because it was like the trendy thing to do, and they would do it for fun. And like you said, I think it's kind of a little disrespectful, I guess, insulting to the people who are actually, 100% into it, getting down to, 5% body fat, making all these sacrifices, and then you hop up there 10% body fat, just to say like, oh, I competed.
Yeah.
I think you need to be 100% committed to it. Respect the sport. Respect that it's gonna suck ass when you're getting that lean. And
yeah, you got to embrace it. You have to embrace that
your
suckiness.
Yeah. If you want to just do something for like participation, like you said, do like a photo shoot. Just set yourself a goal, to get lean for the beach.
And that's fine. That's fine too. That's fine too. But it's just like, you don't need to take it to that extreme if you're not ready to take it to that extreme.
Yeah,
for sure.
Another thing that I really kind of appreciate about the way you approach things too is your kind of approach to business. So I've been following you, like I said, for about a year now, and the way you kind of market your brand, market your business, market your services is a lot different than what I see a lot of other online coaches doing now. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So like,
Yeah.
I guess the way you come off, you come off as 100% real. You aren't pushy with your services. You put them out there, obviously, um,
Mhm.
but you don't talk about them nearly as much as what a lot of these other newer coaches are doing.
Mhm.
And you you are just yourself, I guess. You're just real, authentic. That's
Mhm.
what it seems like, at least to me. That's what I'm
Sure.
picking up on. But
It's all a facade.
yeah,
It's all
yeah.
fake.
But a lot of these other coaches just they seem like they're regurgitating the same phrases that
Yeah.
they all use. And you could go to any single profile and you almost think you're on the same profile, even though you're on like 10 different ones.
Mhm.
Words they use, the things they post. So um, I don't know. I guess did you like consciously think about that, like the way you were
Mhm.
branding yourself, or did you just kind of just grow into it just naturally?
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, first off, thank you for saying all that. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I'm trying to be careful about what I say here in case uh there are other coaches listening, or you're maybe following along, or whatever. Um it's like I still to this day constantly question myself, like, am I doing this right? Because it's funny to hear you say that. And I'm constantly thinking about how to be businessy, how to promote my services, how to build my business. Like, you have to, like, I mean, I'm trying to make money. Yes, this is how I support
Mhm.
myself.
Yeah,
But also, I don't want to be that sleazy salesman. I don't want to think that, or don't want people to think that it's all about the money, or something like that. And it's a fine balance because you're trying to be yourself, but also make money and be salesy. But the thing is like, whenever you can find that middle ground, and whenever you can find that balance of merging those two together, and I think that comes from, it has to be genuine. Like, it has to
yeah,
be real. Like, I cannot, like, people can't see, but I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt right now. It's like, I do this, not like I did it one time, or I would just wear this out. This was before I did, like, put it on my Instagram or podcasts or anything. Like, I would just wear Hawaiian shirts sometimes, cause, like, out to the bars or something, because I was like, it makes me feel good. Like,
yeah,
you cannot take yourself that seriously if you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt. It's like, most people think Hawaiian shirt, they think like the fat dude at the beach with like sandals and like the long white
yeah,
socks, like
yeah,
some
yeah,
glasses, like the dad, just the dad who's telling dad jokes. And it's just like, but I have part of that in me, that silly gooseness in me. And it's
yeah,
just, I like to have fun with things. And I think that in this industry, the only thing that you have to differentiate yourself in the fitness industry is like you. Like, so I've just been trying to be me as much as possible. And I've doubled down on that over the past probably year and a half. Because whenever you're first starting out, this is what I was trying to get at, is like, you see all these other people like Jordan Syatt or Carter Good, or other guy, Mike Vacanti is a different story, because he's not necessarily putting out much content or anything. But in the beginning, he was doing some of the same things that maybe other people were doing or whatever. But it's like, whenever you're younger and whenever you don't have your business off the ground yet, you look at these other avenues and you're like, they did it this way. This blueprint worked for them.
yeah,
So why can't it work for me? And it's like, I think that can help you kind of um, uh, get past that paralysis by analysis of second guessing yourself, and just speed, like moving and just putting out shit. And it's just like,
yeah,
okay, I think this will work, so I'm gonna try this. They're putting up quotes from Twitter. I'm gonna put up quotes too. Like, what, like. Or it's just like, I don't believe in myself enough to put something out that may be wrong, or that may make me look stupid, or to go against the mold or whatever. It's like, it's working for them. Why can't I just do my own version of that? And it's like, I think some people can do that if you're talented enough, if you're good enough, if you can put enough of your personality in it, and enough, if you have a way with words or video, or you're just jacked and really handsome or something, or you're a hot chick. Um, it's like, if you have some type of perk like that, and you also take the avenue of someone else, it's like, you're probably going to be successful in spite of those other things that you do. But since you caught on to that trend and maybe got that awareness, kind of ciphered by doing that avenue, that's possible. And you could spark that fire and eventually grow and build your own thing at some point as well. It's kind of, I think what I did was at one point, like whenever my Instagram was really growing was whenever I was working with Jordan Syatt. And he told me to start posting infographics. This was whenever infographics was really popular,
Yeah.
or it was starting to just get really popular. So I caught like Jordan and Carter Good both really, they were the leaders on that, right?
Yeah.
On the infographics. But then I was kind of like towards the peak. I caught the wave just a little bit right, and I started putting out infographics 3 times a day. What I did was I put out 2 infographics and 1 like picture or video every single day, because I still wanted to have me in it, like my face. But then the infographics, what I did with infographics was I still made it myself. Like I was using Family Guy cartoons and things. I was using, I was still like cursing or what, like I was still being me, but I was taking that infographic, that model that already worked, and putting my own spin on it.
Yeah.
And I think by doing that, that's what kind of caught people's eyes. And I used, my own brand colors. People started to see this. And then you would maybe have, as you make those infographics, refining that quote unquote craft, it's like, then you would make 1 or 2 that would really pop off. And then that becomes a thing. And then I got an infographic reposted again yesterday. It's the same one. Like there's like 2 or 3 of mine that constantly get reposted from people and stuff. And it's just like those evergreen pieces of content. All you have to do is hit that one, and it could help you, for quite some time. But then, of course, the wave changes, right? Things change, businesses change. Like the infographics aren't as popular as they once were.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot of quotes and Twitter quotes and memes. That's kind of the big thing now.
Yeah, for sure.
But I have this weird thing in me. Now it's more of just like a fuck you thing. I'm just like, no, I refuse to try. And I'll give it a taste every once in a while, maybe. But like, I more so, I get inspiration, and still my stuff is a lot of inspiration from other people, but it's typically not people in the fitness industry. I think that's where, like, I have all of these things that I'm interested in, like outside of fitness, and then I funnel that through my fitness and nutrition lens. And then I relate those concepts to in a way that fitness and nutrition can make more sense, because all of this stuff, you do some lateral thinking and things here and there. Yeah. These things can fit like puzzles into other things as well. Once you have the base understanding of training and nutrition and how like, oh, reading about this really makes me think about diet and exercise in this weird way that I've never thought about before. Maybe my audience would benefit from that. So yeah, it's really, but it's been somewhat natural from the beginning, just because if this shit isn't fun, I don't want to do it anymore. And so I've always put fun and quality. I think fun more than anything, because I'm not afraid to, like, clearly I'm in a Hawaiian shirt. Like, I'm not afraid to look stupid, and I don't care if you like it or not. It's like, this is me. I think it's fun. And so I'm going to keep doing it. And clearly I'm helping some people along the way. And I was like, that's good enough for me. So it's like, I want to attract my people. You want to talk to me for a certain reason. You see some type of relatability in me, or some type of whatever you want to call it, admiration, something like that, right? You see, and this is the same way that I do with plenty of other people that are above me. I say above me, and I mean that, like, have been doing this longer, have bigger followings. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to talk down or anything. But it's just like, I'm trying to just make it. I'm trying to make it my own, the best that I possibly can. But it's a practice over time, and you have to constantly not succumb to the shiny object syndrome, because it's just like, your people will find you. If you're just really double down on you, that's whenever you can really see some good success. But that's hard. That's easier said than done, because who the fuck are you, right? Who am I? Like, I'm still trying to figure that out every single day. But as I'm trying to figure that out, I'm like, as I am about to put up a post or something, I was like, is this me? Like, am I saying this because I really want to say it? Am I putting this content out there because I think it's really good? Or am I doing it because I think it's going to get a lot of likes and follows? It's like Ryan Doris, the guy who I look up to, the Natty Pro. I fucking love that dude, because
Yeah.
he's himself. And he was just like, when's the last time you made something that you were proud of? When did you do it? Like, this is for me. This isn't for you guys. This is for me. And it's like that has been ringing in my head before I make every piece of content now. I'm just like, I want to make something that and again, they're not all going to be hits or something that's like, the Mona Lisa or something, right? But it's just like, I want to put something out there that I'm proud of, that I think like, oh, I would benefit from reading this. And I think my people need to hear this today, you know?
Yeah, no, I
That's
love
it.
all of that. No, that was perfect. And I definitely relate to the whole, you were talking about you second guessing yourself. You second guess yourself all the time, if you should be putting out this, putting out that. Because I'm fairly new to the whole online coaching space and everything, but I second guess my posts all the time. If this should go out, if that should go out, if I'm wording this right, if I need to have it perfectly aesthetic Instagram page, for people to follow me and
The
things.
grid. Yeah. The
Yeah,
grid.
exactly, the grid. And I think what you said at the end, towards the end, was really key, where you want to attract people who are similar to you that you would relate to, because those are the people who are going to be the most successful clients with you, probably.
Yeah,
They're going to think like you. They're going to understand like you. They're going to
absolutely.
implement, what you give them. So
Yeah.
yourself as much as you can out there, is even if you only have, if you have 50% of the followers you would have had, those 50% less followers are going to be, high quality followers. They're going to be really successful clients if they do work with you. So,
Dude, it's depth over width. And that's one thing that Gary Vee talks about all the time, but it's you have, like, if I have 12.7 thousand followers, which is what I have right now, like,
yeah,
I want all 12.7 thousand of those, and this doesn't happen, but it's just like, I want all of them to fuck with me hard.
yeah,
And it's just like, you notice this is why, like, the numbers, the follower counts, it's like, they don't mean nearly as much as you think. They matter like on maybe the first glance, whenever you're first judging someone, whenever you first see their account, like, oh
yeah,
shit, they've got 100,000 followers. That means they must be adding some value. And at some point that may have been true.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's like, there's certain people that I follow that jumped on the infographic train, right? And they blew up. They gained way more followers than I did.
yeah,
But they were doing everything for likes and clicks and the short-term gain of those infographics, and really just trying to squeeze all the juice out of that part of it. But they didn't have enough of the personality and enough of their unique 1% factor that makes them them. They didn't include that in all of it as well.
yeah,
So then when the infographics fizzled out, now they have people that are just, the people don't care as much about infographics, and they also don't care about that person as much, because what other, like, besides the information you're giving them, why should they care about you, right? And it's just like, this is what I remind myself in my head all the day. That's why I want you to remember, and everybody like listening to this as a coach, is just like, the information's out there. I don't know what you think that you're adding as far as the diet and exercise advice. Like, don't get me wrong, there's definitely people out there that don't know what we know, and it's still helpful to talk about high quality protein sources, or how much protein you should have a day, or keto, or compound exercises, or something like that people don't know. I understand that. However, that's not going to create long-term benefits for you and that person as far as who you are as a person, right? It's just like, we want to follow, like, people buy coaches, not coaching.
yeah. I was just,
That's it. It's the biggest thing, man. It's 100%. It's so true. It's like, they're buying you. They don't care that the 3 mechanisms of muscle hypertrophy. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? It's like, they don't give a shit about that. All they want to know is, will you be there for them? Can you get them results? And, like, will they look stupid working with you? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, they want to make sure that they don't look stupid for this decision, right? And so it's just like, yeah, I think that it's so easy to just jump on whatever train is easiest. But it's just like, if you can just refine you and keep betting all chips on you and who you are as a person, because it's just like, no matter how weird you are, or how whatever, like, cool, or it's just like, people out there the world is huge, and luckily we work in an industry, it's just like, everybody would like to look better. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah,
people care about their health. As long as people are not machines, we're going to be okay as far as people needing our services.
yeah,
And so, and our ability to help people as well. But it's just like, if you become commoditized just because you give out great information or whatever, it's just like it's not as unless you are the like Steve Halls or Eric Helms or the actual leading researchers and also the curators, the homie Steve Hall of all the other researchers. You know what I'm saying? He's done it. I have much respect for Steve, and it's been so cool because we both kind of have grown. He's done an amazing job. He works harder than I do. He's more into it. He's killing it. But we've kind of grown together, and I've been friends with him for a while now. And it's been so cool seeing him grow his brand and everything. And he's done an excellent job. But yeah, he's the curator of all the other, and he's a super smart dude too. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah, he is.
But it's just like, but he's done a great job of becoming friends with the Mike Isertels and Jared Feather and Eric Helms and all these other researchers and just smart dudes. It's like, if you're on the actual cutting edge and you have that information and those people and resources at your disposal, that's when that's your thing. Like he's the guy I go to, like whenever I have a question about physiology or nutrition or exercise or whatever. It's like, I go to Steve and his team and like his posts and things. Cause I was like, I know Steve doesn't want to be wrong because this is his shit. Like this is his wheelhouse. He wants to be the best bodybuilder he can be. So you can best believe he's going to stay on the cutting edge of the research. So it's just like, I'll let Steve do that. But then for me, it's like, I will just like, hey dude, just tell me what to do. And I trust you. So I'm going to just take your word for it. And of course this like 1 time out of 10, this could be the wrong thing to do, but 9 times out of 10, Steve's probably right. You know what I'm saying? You've got to find that person in different avenues. And this is basically what I've tried to do with different things, whether it's marketing or business, or whenever it comes to actual science research and things like that. Like I find my people and then I trust them to do their jobs. And then I'm just going to try and do my job the best as well. And I think that comes with whatever it is people get from me, that fun, that realness, maybe make them think a little bit different, make them smile, and then incorporate fitness into their life without it taking control of their entire life. I think that's what I'm trying to do here, dude. That's it.
Yeah. No, I think you're doing a great job at that. And the thing about Steve, just going back to that, his posts, like, you scroll through Instagram, you see millions of posts, you see millions of educational hypertrophy posts, muscle building. He's one of the few that whenever his caption comes up, no matter how long it is, I'm always reading the whole entire thing, no matter what.
Yeah, see, there you go.
There's going to be so much valuable information in there. Other guys too, like Lane Norton, they read all of their captions. Mike Isertel even. A lot of times he just posts his workouts, but sometimes he does add in some good stuff in there. So those guys, like you said, they're putting out the really high quality information, and then past that, you can put your personality in there if you want people to actually work with you one-on-one as a coach, because like you said, people buy coaches, not coaching. And when you're having kind of that relationship that online coaching really gives now, where it's so personal, like I feel like rarely nowadays coaches are having rosters of like 200 clients or so, 200 like now it's like a smaller roster but more intimate, in depth. And if someone's going to want to actually work with you like that and get on phone calls or video calls with you and talk to you all the time, your personality's got to match. And I think that's why it's just more important to put your personality out there so people know.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing to do too. Like you're yourself. Like you don't have to put on this act whenever they become a client. It's just like you just continue being yourself. Like it's much harder to put on this persona. Like, what's up guys, it's me, welcome to my YouTube channel, it's Matt, thank you guys for being here, I appreciate it. And then it's just like somebody meets me in person and it's just like, oh, you're not that guy at all. And it's like, no, I'm not trying to do that. Like, I'm trying to be me. And then it's just like, you meet me in person, you're like, okay, yeah, you're exactly who you are online. And it's like, that's what I want to hear. That's the biggest thing. Like, I want to hear, oh, Matt's exactly who he is. And also like, Matt's a good dude. That's it. Like, that's what I care about. But another thing that I want to add on to what you were just saying is just like, there comes a point, because as coaches, and I to me, this is right, but it depends on who you work with as well. But like, I'm working with your everyday people, right? like 20 to 45-year-old people. They may be like a construction manager or something like that, or like a nurse, or just everyday people, great people. But it's just like there comes an extent, like my knowledge to help them. I know about calories and macros and like how that works in the body. If you need to do a refeed, as far as their training and nutrition, how to structure things. I know the basics. I know the main things, and probably more so a little bit more with my registered dietitian background. However, there comes a point to where it's just like, are you learning more to like jerk off to the own people in your industry, like to flex your knowledge to them? And like, also, are you just continually learning more? And I'm not saying to not keep up with the latest research or things like that, but that's why I said, like, I'm going to leave that to Steve. And then I'm going to read a couple of Steve's posts and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a good reminder that I need to make sure I focus on this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I have him to check off the boxes there to make sure that I'm continually learning. However, you need to figure out how can you communicate the goals and things that you set for your clients, like all this cool knowledge that you have. How can you get the client to actually take action on those things? Like, that's what's most important here. I don't give a shit how much you know about like the Krebs cycle, right? It's like, I want to know, can you get Sally to eat a salad at lunchtime or not? Like, that's what I like over time. And then like make sure she adheres to her goals. It's like, they don't give a shit about all that. So it's like, I've gone all in on trying to be a communicator and relate to the people. And then like think of these little things here and there that they can actually use like as a little toolbox whenever they do go on a vacation, or they do go on some type of trip, or they're going out to the bars or something. Like, I want them to be able to live their life, but how can they also stay on track with their fitness goals? And so that's what I want people to just, it's just like, at some point I want you to keep up with the diet and exercise, but at some point you need to focus on like motivating the clients, communicating with clients, and then also your business. Like, I've gone through that obsessive sponge-like mentality I had with diet and exercise about learning everything about that. Now I'm doing that except with marketing and business and writing and just how I can reach the most people, benefit them, and then also in turn it benefits me as well, monetarily, just fulfillment, whatever. Like, I'm helping people, it feels good, and I have fun doing it. It's like, so now I'm going through that cycle. So it's like, whenever you get the muscle and strength pyramids down, whenever you understand those, it's like you're and you can actually problem solve and think critically through some of those problems, because you're going to have some of those times where you need to flex your intelligence, right? However, the majority of the time, if you're just working with everyday people, like, work on your communication skills, work on being a good person, over delivering your service for them, instead of just like keeping your head still buried in textbooks, or trying to learn the new studies, or make sure that you don't say one thing that your peer might be like, oh, what the fuck? Like, Steve corrected me on something before. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So now I know. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like, my ego is not attached to how much I know in this field. Like, I don't there's people fucking way smarter than me, but I'm going to look up to those people. You want me to text them? I'll text them right now. Like, I'll call them. Like, we can have that conversation. Like, I don't give a fuck how much you know about training and nutrition, like, or you think that I do or do not know. It's like, I've got guys who do know that. Like, they have their own wheelhouse. I'm just trying to take care of my wheelhouse. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's key.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that was good. I like how you touched on where, like, all of this information, and this information isn't useless, but you have to know how to tone it down to the general population level if that's, who you're working with. And I know one thing that I even struggle with sometimes is, like, if I'm trying to relay messages to the general public, it's really hard to get caught up in those posts by those people who are higher up, PhDs putting out this information. It's hard to not look at those posts and think, I need to put out posts like that. And then, it takes, an hour trying to type in a post. You're checking your citations, making sure everything's 100% perfect. And it's like, this general public doesn't care about that. The general public, they want results. And we want to approach it in a scientific based way for sure. But it needs to be way more simplified. Like you said, it's about getting, what would you say, Sally to eat a salad at lunch.
Yes.
Like, it's not about, optimizing muscle protein synthesis every single hour in the day for most people.
Yes.
Most,
No,
most,
it's,
most people,
they don't care about that. They
yeah,
don't care about it at
yeah,
all.
yeah,
It's like if you're working with competitors and people who are like really serious, like Austin Current, my buddy, and Sue Bush and Alex Bush and physique development people, and they're working with competitors. Like they need to be on their shit with that stuff because they're gonna need that pinnacle of knowledge, that little extra 10%
yeah,
that Sally like it's like there's no use for that. Like these people that they're the competitors they're working with, they're eating salads multiple times a day or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
they need that next level. And it's like if that's your the people that you're working with, sure, step your game up. Like you got to make sure you're on top of it. However, for me, it's just like I'm not. I'm with the intermediate level for a reason. It's like I
yeah,
want people who care about this shit, but also I don't want them questioning why I'm raising their carbohydrates by 15 grams this week or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like I
yeah,
don't want that type of resistance, or also that a person that freaked out over making some small change or like tracking their every alcohol gram or something. You know, it's just like that's not the people that I work with.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and so my content followed suit.
Yeah, for sure. And it's all about I would say finding where your client actually is and like that gap to where they would be 100% on, and just making sure you're progressing a little bit at least.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
yeah. So like competitors who are super experienced, they may hire a coach, but they already have 90% of their full tank filled, you know, and they
yeah.
need like that extra 10%, like you said. But like you're
Mm-hmm.
a public person who has no idea what they're eating, how many grams of protein at all. They're not even conscious of their eating at all. They don't even exercise maybe. They have
Yeah,
that whole entire tank to fill up. So if you just get them to fill up even 20% in the beginning, like they're going to make some progress.
yeah.
And I think that's
Absolutely.
super
You,
important. So
behavior change, make it like you have the knowledge, you know, and the way that I've described it is, like, the what, right? You know, the information, but what they don't know is the how. It's like, they know they need to eat more salads, eat more vegetables, eat more protein, and work out often. Okay. How do they do that? Right. It's like, how do you get them to do that with Steve's crowd? They're already doing that. They're already working out 5 times a week and hitting their calories and macros. You know what I'm saying? But for the people that maybe you and I work with, it's like, no, we need to work on the behavior change, the habits, the motivation, how to get them to do this. Yeah, it's you've got to know your lane and then how you can best serve your audience. It's not about you. It's about Sally, right?
yeah, yeah.
It's what it's about. It's
It's all
about
about
her.
Sally. It's all about.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's it.
Yeah, that's cool. So I think we're coming close to an hour-ish maybe now,
Hmm.
but I just wanted to ask one more question and kind of wrap it up. So what's kind of like one piece of advice, I guess, you would give to somebody who was starting out, I guess, in your spot when you first started getting into the whole fitness and nutrition thing, or even it could be like mindset related too, just like one little piece of advice.
Hmm. Um, the first thing I would say, and this time I guess this pandemic actually kind of goes to show, but uh, it's to save money, to be honest. As much as, like, to the extent that you can, especially in the beginning, because, and I'll give another tip because that's not going to be applicable to necessarily everybody, even though it's probably a good idea for more people to save
Yeah,
money.
yeah,
But what it does is, and it ties into everything that we're doing, but it allows you to not make these short-term uh, 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 posts and things like that and content to get these likes and followers, because you're doing that in the short term and you're afraid to do the long-term brand move of being yourself, and it may not get as many likes or follows or whatever, but long term it's going to be good for you. It's because you need money now, you need those clients now, and you think, okay, I need to get these followers, I need to do this, and it's like you're trying to make these short-term decisions that aren't good long term, and they're not doing anything to build people's perception of you, right? You're just trying to do it for likes and clicks. But whenever you have money saved up, like right now, like you also see me not pushing my services much or anything like that. It's
yeah,
part of that is, part of it is, one is like I just I don't like that super pushy sale. I would rather have people come to me more often than not. And don't get me wrong, you still have to push. Like selling is not bad. I'm not in that camp at all. Selling and marketing are great because I think that people do need our services. Like I would rather them work with me than Joe Schmo who doesn't give a shit about them and that's just trying to siphon their money away. Right? It's like, no, I think that they would benefit from working with me. So I don't have a problem selling to them. Um, However, I'm also okay with during a crisis like this to not be super pushy or salesy or anything like that because I do have money saved up. Like I said, I've been doing this for years, and I'm not a super like. There's certain things that I like to buy, but it's much more like quality over quantity. Like I'll buy one really good thing, and then I don't need 4 different pairs of shoes or something, right?
Yeah.
It's like I
Yeah.
buy that one really good pair of loafers or something, and then I'm set on loafers, right? Or boots or something like that. Like I have a brown pair, black pair, like I'm good to go, like I'm set. Um, it's like, but whenever you have that money saved up, you can really be you and not have the anxiety and pressure and stresses of, oh, I need to make money. I need to make money. I need to make money. I need to push this. Cause it's just like people can smell that shit. Like people can sniff out that non-realness and why you're really doing it. So whenever you do have some money saved up, right? I would just starting now, just with the money you make each month, like if you aren't already, put back like 15% or something like that. And I didn't do it like that methodically. I was just saving because I didn't spend a ton of money in the first place. And just over time it's built up. So now it's just like I can be okay if I don't get another client for the next 6 months or something. Like I'm okay. And that brings me comfort and relieves my anxiety a little bit. Like, all right, I'm okay. I can put out the content that I want to put out. I don't have to stress. I don't have to freak out. Um, I think that's super important because once you have that leverage, it's like then you're okay. You don't need that client to sign up with you, and you can also take on more people that you can serve the best, and that also aren't a pain in the ass to you, right? And so that's super important as well. So yeah, I think saving money, at least if you're an upcoming fitness coach or something like that, I think that is um, absolutely very important. If you're not a coach um, and you're just trying to figure all this shit out, I think people should read more. To be honest, I think people should read more and stay
Yeah.
off your phones as much and just spend some time. The reason why I like reading, one, is because it's legit like distance learning. Like you actually are like you have problems. Somebody else, you're not a special snowflake. There's people in the world that have had the same problems that you have, but also they've conveniently put it in a book that they've spent hours on, right? Learning and years learning the experience, potentially if it's a good book, right? And it's like they have these answers, or they at least have the roadmap to lead you to the answer that you need in this moment. And it's just like you just don't you don't want to read, like you don't want to look for that answer. It's like the answers are out there, or at least somewhat close to that. It's going to help you lead to the answer that you need. And they're out there and they're in books and they're like 15 to 20 bucks tops.
Yeah.
But you just don't want to read them. And it's also a mental practice because if you can't be on your phone and read at the same time, right? This isn't the audiobooks either. This is legit like one line to another, and you notice it's actually a form of meditation. Basically, you're reading, you're focusing on that. So yeah, I think what I actually want it to be is single tasking. I want people to work on focusing on, and this is, I'm speaking to myself here, right? On all of this. But it's just like, it's a constant practice over and over. What I want people to do is try to focus on one thing at a time and just take it from one thing to another instead of constantly being stimulated by different sources of information and not spending enough time thinking and reflecting and really putting all of their energy into one thing at a time. And one of those things may be just doing nothing and just sitting there and thinking about your day or thinking about your week that you just had or what's going on or whatever. I think just people aren't being reflective enough and they're being constantly distracted and mindlessly doing things that are not making their life better.
Yeah.
That's
No,
it.
I oh my God, I absolutely love those tips. The first one, basically save up money so you can just continue to be yourself, if you're a coach. You don't feel pressure to try to be anyone else.
Can I give one caveat to that? investing in yourself is not is also a form. I think that cannot be understated enough, because, and I'm not saying that because I'm a coach and I'm saying that you should invest in your health. You should invest in your health.
Yeah.
But I understand that ours is a luxury service, but I've also had multiple business coaches as well. And I think that cannot be, even whenever I was making, whatever, like $1,500 a month from this, I was paying a large portion of that to Jordan whenever I was working with him. You know what I'm saying? It's like I was also able to do that because I was lucky. I was able to like live with my parents for some time and stuff. So I was blessed in that area. I didn't have to like pay tons of rent or anything. But I was also, you know, living with my parents. I'm okay with doing that. But I was working with Jordan. I was building my business. And it's like the things that I learned from him. And then I worked with John Romanello. And then I worked with Nate Green, which a lot of you probably don't know who that is. But Nate Green he's helped me over the past, like I just emailed with him yesterday. But I've had business coaches along this as well. And if you can invest in yourself, if you're in the spot to do that, I think that's like you should do that, because that's money saved in the long term. Right. It's you have to be smart about it. It's not like, oh, just hoard all this money and just keep trying to do what I'm doing. If you're not making any progress, maybe it is time to take that risk and take that little pivot. But you have to be very careful about who you work with, because there's plenty of shitty business coaches out there too. So yeah, just wanted to make that one caveat.
No, I'm glad you clarified that, because there's a huge difference between buying like a business coach to help you invest more versus spending money on a bunch of these random luxury items that you have no way to make any money back from. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And then kind
single tasking.
Yeah. And then your second tip was really good too about single tasking. Like, I think this is one reason why so many people like myself, maybe even like yourself, I'm sure, really like the gym, because when you're in there and you're squatting, I mean, you can't really be distracted thinking about multiple problems that you have in your life, you know, stresses, homework, assignments. You know, if you're under a heavy barbell and you're doing one rep max squat, that's the only thing you're thinking about is getting that weight up. And I think it's, you know, therapeutic, and it's kind of a form of meditation, being able to single task on something like that.
Yeah, it's the void. It's the void. You know, Dave Tate, the void. Yeah.
I was listening. You were just talking about that. I think, was it your last podcast or maybe 2 podcasts?
Yes, actually, I think it was maybe with Nick Sorrell. I think it might have been with him. Yeah, the void. It's just like there's nothing else. There's no girlfriend issues. There's no money issues. Nothing. It's just you're trying to lift this weight off your fucking back, or it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like you're trying to,
or maybe not die, but
you're trying to stand up. That's it. That's all you're focused on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very important. But yeah, if people are, lifting is, I think that I agree. It's a great example. But if somebody's looking for a great book on this, Deep Work by Cal Newport, one of my favorite books of all time. I recommend it all the time. That one, and also Digital Minimalism, which is his newest book. And it's exactly what it sounds like. But the Deep Work is more focused around your career and actually in a work environment. And then Digital Minimalism is basically the after hours. So whenever you're just hanging out with family or something like that. And both of those books together, they're amazing. He's like a professor at MIT. He's a super smart dude, but he's productivity wise, I look up to him a lot.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Yeah, I've been reading a lot more the past year, and it's made a huge difference. Like, I hated reading before because I hate reading fiction books, like long stories.
Yeah.
But I read more like, I don't know, personal development stuff, like Atomic Habits, Power of Now. I've read those.
It's actually helpful, like in the moment, like it's actually helpful, like with problems you have. Like I'm not saying to just go pick up books and read them. I'm saying you have a problem, but find the book that you think can help you. And then even if you get one little nugget from that book, it's going to make that $12 worth it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't want to take too much more of your time. So
you're good, man.
I think we'll just call it here, but dude, thanks so much for coming on here and taking the time. It was nice to be able to talk to you. I'm definitely going to be more intentional, I guess, about putting more of my personality out there when I'm posting and not stressing so much about following the online coach model that seems pretty popular now. So
don't be scared. Give it a try. And again, you can do it. You can still do both. Like there's no rules here. You can do, if you're scared to do, like put out a lot of your personality, just for every 4 posts you do, make one of those a complete personality. Like, I'm not doing this to talk about training or nutrition. Like last tangent on that is just like,
Yeah.
what I don't want is just like, there doesn't always have to be some valuable lesson in the post that you're putting out, right? Sometimes, like, I'm going to put up a post with my cat at some point, and I'm going to be like, hey, this is my cat that I adopted. His name is Carl. And that's it. Like, but it's going to get tons of likes, and people are going to that's value. Like, your judgment of value doesn't have to be, okay, what's 3 tips they can walk away from in this post? It's like, no, sometimes they just want to see your fucking cat. And then now they know you have a cat. And then they'll see Carl. That's his name. They'll see Carl for a while now. And they're like, oh, that's Carl. I know who that is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just like, yeah, don't overthink it. Just
For
fucking,
sure.
just put it out there. It's all good.
And Carl's a great name for a cat anyway.
Isn't it great? Carl the cat.
Great name. People make jokes about, because we have a dog. Her name is Sid. People make jokes about her name.
Sid. Okay, I like Sid.
It's kind of goofy name. She's pretty goofy. And then we have a chinchilla, and her name's Kevin.
That's a great one. Yeah, I like that. Kevin. Yes. Yeah.
I like Carl for sure.
Carl the cat. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks again. If there's anything else that you feel like you want to add at the very end, go ahead. But
no, we're good. Just stay away from people right now. Wash your hands. Do what you got to do. Spend some time with yourself. Spend some time with your demons and distractions and all the shit you've got going on. Now is the time to face it and to come to face with real reality. So yeah. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. And also just chill the fuck out a little bit. Let's relax. Let's have some fun. And while we can, like, if that's all we can do, let's at least have some fun.
Yeah. Put on your Hawaiian shirt and relax a little bit.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it.
All right. Well, thanks again. I'm sure I'll probably have you on here sometime in the future, hopefully. But yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Sounds good, man.